Good evening, folks. Good evening. Welcome to the Board of Selectmen's meeting, April 21st, 2025. If you can stand for the pledge, please.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
At this time, we will open up the meeting to public comments. We respectfully request that items already on the agenda not be addressed, and that your comments to be limited 3 minutes so that everyone can have the opportunity to address the board. Later in the agenda, there'll be a second opportunity to address items raised in the meeting. Any public comments? Good.
I'm Virginia Long with the Conservation Commission, and we forgot to put an event on the list of announcements of upcoming events, so I'd like to announce it. It's a guided forest immersion walk on Saturday, May 3rd from 10 to noon at our Casey Road Conservation Land. If anyone doesn't know where that is, you can look on the town website. I believe there's, on the Conservation Commission website, I believe there's a map. And anyway, it's at the end of Casey Road, which is off of Governor's Road near Route 75. The walk will be led by what are called certified forest therapy guides. They've gone to forest therapy school, Robin Shoemaker and Amy Diane. And they're not therapists, but what they do is they guide a beautiful experience in the forest where people feel restored afterwards. The forest is the therapist. And they say to slow down, connect with nature, focus on your senses. It's optional. You can bring a portable chair or seat pad, and we welcome all who are comfortable in social silence, because much of the time is spent in silence. No pets, please. It's limited to 12 participants, and we do ask you to pre-register because of that limitation. And they can email the Conservation Commission at mcc@miltonnh-us.com. Thank you.
Thank you, Virginia. Any other public comments?
Good evening. Larry Brown. Again, major events in the news that impact the health, safety, and welfare of the community. A bit of history. April 20th was not only Easter, it happens to be Hitler's birthday. By the end of the month, April 30th, he was dead, and the glorious Reich that was to last 1,000 years in ruins. 12,000 people, up to 65,000, take your pick of numbers, died in the Dresden firebombing. In Gaza, anywhere from 50 to 150,000 people are dead. Israel waging the same civilian war that we waged against Nazi Germany. There are approximately now 1,000, twice the population of our school, children, amputees from civilian bombing deaths. And that is a fact. Trade war. Whether you read from the New York Post or the Washington Examiner or the New York Times, it is the same message. Trump's tariffs are destroying the American economy, all the small people, businesses that depend on the flow of international goods and services. Small example, my tires, I was over at Tire Express in Farmington, wonderful mom and pop operation. My tires were made in Cambodia. Chatter in the waiting room, joke of the day. What is the difference between the Trump tariff policy and a lopsided yo-yo? Nobody knows. That was the joke of the day.
Okay. Thank you, Larry. Any other public comments? Okay, I'm not seeing any. Please help to protect our lakes and drinking water, clean up your yard waste and pest waste. pet waste. Construction to finish Phase 2 on Dawson's Silver Street project from the fall of 2024 has started on Silver Street and at the intersection of Silver and Steeple. And it's almost actually, they're putting the curbs in today, I noticed. So it's coming to an end up there. So the traffic pattern in the area might be a little bit different. But moving forward anyway. So new business, up for a Solo Smart Clean Energy New Hampshire presentation. Is somebody here for that?
Hi, good evening. My name's Karen Golab, and thank you for allowing our Soul Smart contact to come speak to you tonight. As some of you know, Bruce and I have been working with Soul Smart over the last couple of months or so, and thought it would be a good idea to have our contact come and just talk with you guys, have a conversation about some things that might be available, to the town to possibly, save us some money and save the taxpayers money. So I'm sure I'll introduce Katrin Casper, and she'll talk a little bit more about the program and what kind of opportunities are available to us. So,
Thank you.
Katrin?
Hello. I'm Katrin. Nice to meet you. I am from Clean Energy New Hampshire. We are a nonprofit organization. I am the Seacoast Circuit Rider, which means that I serve all of Rockingham and Stratford County. Currently, I'm working with about 80% of those towns and cities. I myself have been on the select board in my own town. I understand how challenging it is to make everything work, get all the bills paid, and keep the taxes down. So one of the reasons I joined Clean Energy New Hampshire was because I wanted to figure out how I could help my communities, and I love that. I've also been part of Stratford Regional Planning Commission for quite some time. I am the chair at this point, and also understand regionally some of the challenges we're facing. So some of the things that I work on are making sure that towns and communities have access to really important funding, as well as understanding how energy works in their communities. One of the reasons we started Soul Smart is because we started having people be very concerned about starting projects with solar because they weren't sure what was going to happen, or they heard some stories. I know in some communities I've worked with, someone started putting up a lot of solar. They would have like a little coffee house or whatever, and then the solar would actually be making more money than the coffee was, and so that's dealing with issues around accessory, and then what was the actual purpose of that. Some other communities were concerned because they felt like solar was being put in places that they didn't feel comfortable. They're like, that's not where I'd want to see it. I want to see it somewhere else. So a lot of communities found that they weren't really getting what they wanted out of it. Maybe they didn't have any solar instances at all. So I looked into where can we get some more information, and I found Soul Smart, and we partnered with them to bring this for free to communities. Again, I know how much you don't have extra money for things, so it's been really great to work on this collab. Your team has been amazing at getting all the information in and moving it forward, which is great. So some other things that I'd love to let you know that we do, and I'd love to work with you at any time. One of the things that's going on right now is there's a VW diesel fund grant that's going on that is making it really possible to buy big trucks you can't normally easily afford, brand new ones. And what you do is you apply for this grant. I've done it in many communities. In my own town, my little town of Lee, we actually got 2 brand new snowplows for just a fraction of the cost. And that's been a huge help for us because our snowplows were from the 80s and 90s. So right now, there's an option out there that you can pay about 30% of the actual cost of the plow if you get that grant, and then the rest is covered. So that's really helpful. There's also some wonderful programs where you can get free energy audits for your buildings. So if you sign up with New Hampshire Saves, you can get audits for every single community, every single building in your town. And that means that you can find out what benefits there are out there, what you have for rebates or funding, so that you can get insulation. In our public safety complex, we went ahead and did an energy audit, realized that we had a lot of issues with just insulation was really poor, wasn't installed properly when we built the building. And so we put in that insulation. We found a lot of funding for it. At the time we had ARPA, which we know was kind of nice at the time. But still, for a small amount of money, we were able to insulate, and we cut our heating and cooling bill in half, which is an enormous savings that will just continue going forward. So one effort at 1 year, and now we get to keep that going forward. So we like to work on things that are going to help save money now and in the future. Something that's coming up that we've been working on, we've been giving our feedback because we had already won a bunch of solar grants for communities. In my region, for Kensington and Rye, we were able to get some solar that's actually entire under 60-watt arrays for free through this program. So we wrote about how we could do that in a way that was even easier for communities and towns, and that grant program should be coming out again soon. Love to work with you guys if that's something you're interested in. So I just wanted to let you know a little bit about what I could offer and how I'd love to help, and also a little bit about the Soul Smart program that we're working on, and see if you had any questions.
I do in regards to how we can do that where we're locked in with the New Hampshire Solar Garden facility.
So that is interesting. I heard that mentioned, and I'd love to learn more. I don't quite understand where your limitations are, so I'd love to be able to review that with some people and figure out what your options are as far as that goes.
I know that right now, this building isn't a part of it, so we're trying, but our other buildings in town are locked in with that contract, so, I mean, I would assume that we might be able to do something here.
Yeah.
Possibly, and I mean, this is a perfect building, good location for, we had talked to someone about a year or so ago too, about the potential on the roof here and maybe even covered parking type of thing with the solar panels up above that. So, I mean, it'd be nice to be able to do something and get that back, but we need to understand legally how we do that with this other contract.
And I'll help as much as I can, and then I can also reach out to other people that we work with that can help as well, just to give you that support. And then, this would be a great roof to go for, one of those solar grants if that comes out. And then now we're not even talking about finding a ton of funding, it's just getting it to go. So I would love to help with that, absolutely. I was going to pass you guys my card just so you have it.
I thought you already.
Oh,
Yeah, we've got.
Good. All right, great. Wonderful. Any other questions or things that you're thinking
Can
about?
I just add something to that?
Yeah.
With this cohort, and I think you have a handout, there's 34 communities that actually signed up to be involved. And we have the details for each of those communities. So a lot of those communities don't have solar, but a lot of them do. And we're allowed within this, cohort, which runs through June, I believe, to reach out to other communities to see how they went about it as well. So if that's something you're ever interested in, doing, Bruce and I certainly can do that as well.
Saw that, because we saw the Soul Smart presentation
Oh, okay.
weeks ago, so yeah, we're well aware of that, so yeah.
So that, we can learn from other people's mistakes.
Yeah, and some of our own, I hope.
And not make them, which is great. It's nice because it's all across the country where they've gotten a chance to really try some things out, and that's not going to work. So let's be careful. It can really protect you. So I appreciate the effort that's been put in already.
Yeah, and I also pass the card along to, I actually work for our school system,
Oh, that's wonderful.
and I'll pass this on to the superintendent,
Perfect.
because we were actually looking into maybe doing some solar down.
That's exactly it. And any municipal building, so your libraries, your schools, everything, absolutely. We also have a business side of as well. So if you know a local business that's interested in that, let us know. We can reach out and we can let you know what support they might be able to get as well. So that's great. No, I'd love to work with the school.
I know solar works. I just put it on my house, and my bill this month was $18.
Wow,
So,
that's amazing.
it is.
Yeah, it makes a big difference. Yeah, that's it. I just would love to help you save some money and make some long-term changes that really support you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And I will ask,
Yeah.
is it okay for Richard or any of the Board of Selectmen to reach out to you directly?
At any time.
So you don't have to,
Anytime.
it's
Call,
not like you have
email.
to come through Bruce or I or whatever, they're available.
I would love that.
For you.
Happy to come to a meeting, happy to work through things if you have something you're looking at and you want to get eyes on it. A lot of times towns will get 3 or 4 bids on a solar project. They'll just be like, hey, can you just tell us what we might need to think about or we may not see? Since I do it all day long, and that's kind of where I live, so I'm really happy to help whoever I can.
Thank you.
Okay, we have
Yes,
Chief.
comment from the chief.
Absolutely.
So I just want to confirm the diesel, Volkswagen diesel brand.
Mhm.
The
Fire truck.
stipulations on that
Yes,
with mileage,
yes.
and most private cars are not gonna come anywhere near that mileage, because mine is reading.
Yeah. You know, it's interesting,
So
everyone
how
I've,
hard and fast is that, those rules, I guess is my question.
you know, if you're close, let's talk, and I
No,
can help
we're
you.
not.
Okay, if you're not, still let's talk, because it's possible that we can reach out. It might be that there aren't enough other people applying, and they're gonna say, well, make an exception. What you wanna do is write down why you would want an exception. Some things communities are talking about is that if they had a truck that was newer, they would be able to go assist other communities, in a different way, so you could make some kind of a statement that way. A few fire departments that I've been working with, though, their number one concern is that their trucks' chassis are no longer operable, and that sadly takes you out of the running, which is also terrifying when you think about the fact that they have trucks they can't use and no way to replace them right now. So I'd love to help, however.
Yeah, there was a couple things that kind of eliminated us. I'll have to look at it again, and then I'll reach out to you.
And you know, we can also just do like a Zoom sometime if you want, just kind of go through it. I can talk to you about what I know. And then what I'll do is I have my contacts, and I can just ask all those questions, leave you that time, and let you know. And then maybe if we go forward, I can help you with the actual grant.
Thank you.
Sure. Mr.
Yeah, we have our Public Works Director too, Billy Waldron, and maybe this might fit the bill for us. I did send the email to you like last couple weeks ago.
Yeah, no, it's actually something me and the chief have discussed back and forth. It seemed like the big disqualifier for us is that our trucks aren't particularly old, they're just lemons.
Are they over the age of what, I think it's 2009?
We have 2016 trucks that are,
Okay.
they were just lemons. They,
That's awful.
yeah. So, we don't qualify for a lot of things just because they're not technically what a lot of these grants would consider old or aged out yet.
Okay. But sometimes we've been able to find something really old you have on there and then replace it with something that maybe you need to replace. Steve Bullock and Lee.
Buy an old truck and get rid of it.
Great, maybe.
Yeah, he's done a lot with it and been really successful, so that'd be great.
Maybe our tractor bill.
Yeah. There's also,
Doesn't have an hour meter.
Huh?
Doesn't have an hours.
so there's two different kinds of grants. There's this one, and then there's this more small vehicle ones, that's the clean diesel. And then, so we can talk about that, that's gonna be coming out again soon. Some of these, this is the last year for it because of funding being cut everywhere. So yeah, let's look at, and what I've done with towns is they've literally just given me a list of all their trucks. And I've gone through and been like, okay, this one would qualify, let's look, like, what do you wanna do? And then this is, if you get bids and you're paying 30%, maybe we were gonna wait a year or two to replace that, but I'm never gonna get that price again, so let's go ahead, so. Love to talk to you.
Any help would be appreciated.
Yeah, awesome, let me know. Great.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank
And I
you.
think Bruce is just gonna finish up and talking a little bit about what he's been doing with Soul Smart.
Okay,
Nice to meet you.
thank you, Bruce.
Nice to meet you, too.
Bruce Woodruff, Town Planner. The only thing that I wanted to add to this is the work that the planning board is doing. The planning board is coming up with a detailed checklist for the site plan review requirements so that, so that it can, one, be put online, two, appended to the site plan review application, and there'll be a process where I meet with potential solar facility applicants, and there'll be no cloudiness or mystery about all of the things that they have to do for a complete application before the planning board. Secondly, I'm working with Soul Smart people to come up with a checklist for building permit applications for solar and a building permit application that's solar-centric that we'll have online, and anybody that wants to do solar on their roof or whatever, out back on a pole mount, can know what to do. So it's going to go online, it's going to be in the land use office when we're done with that.
Thank you, Bruce. Anything else, you guys?
No, the only other thing that we're working with them on is, which was already on our work plan for this year, is electric vehicle charging station ordinance, so.
All right, thank you.
That's it.
Thank you. Okay, moving forward. TPPA request to speak with the Board of Selectmen.
Hi, I'm Jen King. I think I know you all, but I'm the president of TPPA right now. And we wanted to come back and talk to you after what we saw online from the last select board meeting. We had come to you about applying for the New Hampshire Lakes Lake Coast Program grant. New Hampshire Lakes, just to be clear, is not a state entity. It's a nonprofit that's totally independent. They do get some state funding. In addition to being on TPPA, I'm also on the board of New Hampshire Lakes. I spent a lot of time trying to help keep New Hampshire's lakes clean. So what had happened was last year there was some confusion. We talked to you about doing the program, but the town insisted that you guys wanted to do your own inspections at the gatehouse coming in. The New Hampshire Lake Coast program isn't tailored to each individual town. They have like a set job description that they hire their lake hosts for. The grants that they give play a small fraction. It's matched by TPPA when they, to make it all run. It takes us hiring the people, even though they're the TPPA interviewing and hiring people. So anyway, basically last year what happened was you guys said it was a good idea, but you wanted to do the inspections. That's not how their program runs. It wasn't a good fit. So we assumed nothing had changed for this year. And then we had a meeting with Maine DEP and DES and some other folks about European NIAID. And they said, hey, we really want to get that program back. But it was already past the deadline for New Hampshire Lakes. So I wrote to you guys and said, do you want it? And there was discussion at the select board meeting. And that's why I'm here now, because some of the things that were said, that we were not being adults and that we were taking our toys and coming from the playground, taking them out of the sandbox, were really unfair. So I want to make sure the community understands that that TPPA is all volunteers. Last year, a very small group of people donated over 1,500 hours. The cost of European NIAID management was $117,000 in total, of which the town of Milton taxpayers paid a little over $9,000, which was matched by the town of Lebanon and matched by TPPA. So all in all, we're saving the community a lot of money. That doesn't even count the volunteer hours that, and the numerical part of that, that Wayne spent. So Wayne Sylvester's here, and he might want to speak as well, but he does all the grants to the state of Maine, the state of New Hampshire. He manages it all. He does all the reporting. He puts the signs up. He is gold to our community. So we really work hard and do a lot for the town. And so for the town to talk about us, it just felt like something got confused at the last meeting. And there was a lot of us versus them. We're all trying to protect the ponds, but we feel like we need to be supported. And yes, sometimes our communication could be better, but it's a two-way street. It can't all be what TPPA should do and what TPPA should say. It's like we're volunteering, we're helping you, so we should be working together. And that's basically why I'm here tonight to ask. So I did submit the grant, but New Hampshire Lakes came back and said, if they want to do for the redundancies that Mr. Krause talked about at the last meeting of having you guys do the inspections and having them do the inspections, that's not a great environment for the Lake Coast to work in, and it doesn't make sense. So, the whole training, all the lake inspections around the state, they get boats coming in and going out of the water. Your current setup that you have, which they don't want to duplicate, it's not a good use of their resources, is only getting the boats going in. So that means that the boats coming out are going to all the other bodies are being, we're sharing our invasives that we have. The other towns that have lake coasts and that happening are responsible both ways. They're good neighbors to the rest of the communities and try and get stuff coming and going. So New Hampshire Lakes would love to talk to you, and talk about next year, but they're not going to, it's not a good fit is what they told me for this year. And I wanted you to understand what and why, and I wanted to answer any questions that you would have. I did give Richard Bria's number, who's the program director, if he wants to call in, talk to them. There were a couple other things last year that didn't get mentioned in the last select board meeting in my letter to you all, which was that when we didn't have New Hampshire Lakes last year, and the inspections were done at the gatehouse, there were something like 300, I'm close on numbers, 365 inspections reported to the New Hampshire Lake system, which we weren't using them, but they took the numbers anyway. But then Karen said that she did 704 inspections, which we paid the $1.50 a boat that we do, no questions asked, even though there was no reporting. So even New Hampshire Lake Coast, years ago, we did a New Hampshire Lake Coast program before I was in Milton. That was run by Bob Myrick. He moved away. It was a lot. It was volunteers, so we stopped. We brought it back in 2023. We hired the staff. We had it going at both the marina and here. Even when it only covers the busiest hours of the ramp, like weekends and holidays. So we had to pay a higher rate to get people to work weekends and holidays, which there was some bad mouthing in town about, which was kind of unfortunate. Like we're just trying to get coverage. We're just trying to protect the ponds. The other thing was that, so we're paying the $1.50 a lake per, that's not part of the Lake Coast program. That's TPPA's work that's been paying. I'm trying to think, sorry, I got lost. I know, when they are not doing, before we did Lake Coast program, they had a paper, and they would fill out the boat's hull number, what the date was, whether they were coming or going, what last water body they were on. None of that was provided to us for the missing 350 or however many inspections that Karen did. So I think for us to keep doing the $1.50 boat, we want to work with you, we want to prevent invasives from coming in, but we need some give and take, and we need it to be cooperative, and we don't want to be like bad-mouthed and kind of made to look like the bad guys that aren't playing nicely, because we are working really hard to work with you all, and we are sorry that there's been misconceptions, but we wanted to be here and clear it up. So I don't know if you have any questions, but I don't think we're the bad guys, and I think we've been trying really hard, and so it was just really upsetting to see the last select board meeting, and I wanted to come kind of give you an update on New Hampshire Lakes. And
Well, I mean, I personally, I can't thank, TPPA for everything they do. Because without, like you said, without Wayne and the rest of the volunteers that, work for TPPA, I don't know where our lakes would be right today. So I do sincerely appreciate all the hard work you guys do. And I apologize if there was some miscommunications. I think, let's start fresh next year, clean slate, because it's just a win-win for everybody. Because we all know that the lakes are our economical engine. And without those lakes, this town is nothing, pretty much. So again, thank you, Wayne, and the rest of TPPA.
Now, and Jen, you know me, I've been involved with TPPA for a lot of years. I was being a board member on there as well. And the boat inspections done by the kids at the gate, is the way I'll put it, has been a part of the program that we've supported for as long as I've been around. And it's been mandatory. And I think part of the issue, because I know I was at the Rec Commission meeting 2 years ago when we first started talking about it. The difference is the Lake Host program isn't mandatory. So that was the reason we wanted to continue maintaining the mandatory checks at the gate. They can't even come in without getting a boat inspection. Not saying everything's perfect. I'm not there all the time, but I do know that I've been there when they've done some, and they're very thorough going over everything. So when we talked about this 2 years ago, and then last year as well, we talked about the Lake Coast individuals being down by where the hose was, and getting them coming out of the lake, because all of our inspections have been just going into the lake, not bringing anything to our lake. And anywhere else, we weren't checking boats coming out, because you go to another lake, it's got to be inspected before they go into the lake there as well. What we don't want to see happening either is having somebody come through, I wouldn't want to see this, with something on the boat, go down there and then start washing off their boat, having come from another lake. Because if they wash their boats off near the boat ramp, and there's something there.
The washing station is up above.
I understand that. I'm just saying, if they're, even still, it runs off towards the water. Heavy rainstorm following that can wash whatever the heck has been washed off the boats back into the lake. So boat wash is supposed to be done coming out, not going in. That's why our directions have been with the kids. If the boats aren't acceptable, they leave. They don't get a chance to come in and clean off here at our beach and then enter them into the, let them enter into the lake. They have to go home and deal with it.
So Karen says that she turns boats around at the ramp anytime she sees something on the boats, but part of the training that they all signed off that they did was that they would take a fragment if there was something on there and bag it so that they could show DES.
I can tell you, in all the years I've been doing this, that was never a part of what they were asked to do. I'm just saying, I'm not saying that, that something hasn't changed.
That's what the training has asked them to do, is you take a picture.
I saw the video, I
and
didn't see that. I've seen the videos, I didn't see that where it was a requirement for them to do
maybe
it.
it's more recent.
And the thing is that's asking them to do something more, and also putting them in a position where they could damage the boat and everything else. if you scrape something off the boat, I'm
Yeah,
not,
well, I don't think you're scraping things off. You take a picture is fine.
you just said, and then take a sample.
Well, if it's if it's a piece of seaweed or, lake pond plant hanging off the bunker, that's all it is.
But all right, but anyways, with that, I don't remember, and I'm not arguing with you, Jen, I'm just trying to say, if they're being sent away, they've done their job.
Or they just drive over to, another boat ramp and go in there.
But they're not gonna, what other boat ramp is there in Milton? In Milton, that's not in Milton, that's in Lebanon, and
But
that's.
it's the same ponds, Humphrey,
I know, okay, but you're paying them over there at the the marina on that side as well, and they're also supposed to be doing inspections at the campground. So there's 3 entrances to the lake as far as public access goes. One, you have to be in the campground, you have to be a part of being there. The one over in Lebanon at New Bridge Marina, and they do inspections. I know, I put my boat in over there,
Yeah, I put mine in too.
and they do inspections.
They didn't inspect mine, though.
There's other people to talk about. I don't want to get too much into other people's business, but they weren't they haven't been, like when Jeff Everett owned that marina, there were 900 inspections a year.
I know what Jeff did too, yeah.
And last year, I think they submitted 200 inspections. So
And again, but
I don't think
that's,
they're only
okay,
doing
but
this
again, but here's the thing. Milton can't control New Bridge Marina. All Milton can do is our people can control what goes on at the beach. If they're not allowed in at the beach, I'm not saying, they could go to somebody's private property and put their boat in too. We can't be the police for that.
Yeah. So, clearly, it's not a good fit to have New Hampshire Lake Coast there because
Why isn't it a good, okay,
Because
2 years ago
it's
when we
redundant.
discussed this, it's not redundant if they educate the people coming out of the lake. It's only redundant if you're making them do an inspection going into the lake twice.
But the New Hampshire Lake Coast program, run by New Hampshire Lakes, is a courtesy boat inspection program. I know you don't like that it's only courtesy boat inspections.
Because that would be
At
more
most-
of a risk for the boats going into the lake. If people turn around and tell the lake host person, I don't want to deal with you, that's a bigger risk to the lake.
Legally, that's what they have to do. That's required by, they can't, you guys can do it if you want at your gate, if you're really doing it. Unfortunately, there have been a lot of people who have had concerns about the boat inspections at the gate. So, and
But
again.
all right, but I'm gonna sit there and say this, not to fight, because again, and I read the letter, and there was some controversial type of people going at, and we don't need that. We need to work together. So, hear me out. I would rather have a program where they're doing a mandatory check at the gate, and if they make some mistakes, that's better than having somebody down at the thing going, I don't want you to do my inspection. And they go, okay, can't do it. At least you got a better chance of stopping the people if it's mandatory for every boat that goes in than if it's voluntary and only if you decide to do it.
Yeah, well, when we had it here, there were nobody refused, when New Hampshire Lake Coast were here, nobody refused an inspection. And statewide, New Hampshire Lake says it's less than 1%. So, yes, every percent is bad, but, whether that's, if you're getting more education, more exposure, boats going in and out at no extra cost to the town, we can't dictate to them how they run their program. They have a program they're offering, it's not a good fit, so maybe that's fine. But maybe it would be worth our while to consider renegotiating the gatehouse fee so that we can work together and get boats coming in and out, and also do the expected reporting, because just throwing numbers at us in October after some negative comments in the community were made about us, when we hadn't even received who the names were or the number of inspections, that's undercutting us a lot, and it's really disheartening for the volunteers.
Like I said, I've been involved with it, you know that, and I used to be the one that helped calculate who was getting paid with Mickey. So I don't know of anyone trying to take advantage of anything, never heard that
Well,
happening.
I'm not saying they're taking advantage, but I'm saying they didn't do the reporting that was done in the past. They didn't do it
That can
either
be,
way
and that can be
last
done
summer.
better, that's no doubt about that.
Quick question. So, and Wayne might have to answer some of this.
Feel free
So
to
when-
jump up, Wayne, and join me.
I will after you.
So when you're, writing these grants, which we appreciate it. Anywhere in the grants, do they ask if we are lake host participants when you're writing these grants?
No, not specifically Lake Host, but the Zoom meeting that was held with New Hampshire DES and Maine DEP, they went and put us on notice that our weed watching has decreased from what it once was, which was a fair statement. And there are reasons for that, and we've already begun to address that. But what ends up happening is, to begin with, any kind of boat inspection in New Hampshire or Maine is voluntary. It's not required. So any body of water that is greater than 10 acres is considered a great pond. And you cannot deny somebody from entering that, all right? So I went and I looked back for the last 2 years at all the emails that have gone on about the Lake Coast program. And I gotta tell you, I'm disgusted with this whole topic now. I'm not against us doing the Lake Coast program this year. I consider Karen Brown a friend, all right? But from day one, she has opposed what we have tried to do. Part of it had to do with the salaries that people were gonna be paid. To begin with, to participate in the Lake Coast program, the Lake Coast have to be 16 years of age. Karen employs, and rightfully so, I get it, all right, people who are younger than that. The Lake Coast program sets the salary for their Lake Coast. And 2 years ago, it was $22 per hour. That rubbed Karen the wrong way. And she wanted to know, so if Lake Coasts are on duty, all right, then my gate people, who used to be paid $1.50 per boat, all right, are not gonna get that bonus. And that's exactly what it is. It's not salary, it's the bonus that TPPA has paid for, I don't know, 14, 15 years, all right? And that didn't rub well with her. Now, you sent me, Andy, 2 years ago, an email after Peg Hurd and Deb Blair were here speaking to all of you, and Rich, you were sitting up back, you were the chief at the time, and one of the concerns that Karen had was inspecting boats on the boat ramp would be a safety concern. And you said at that meeting, all right, I do not consider that to be a safety concern. And then you came up with a compromise, and Deb and Peg, they were new to the board. Jen was at a New Hampshire Lakes meeting. I was speaking to the Lebanon Board of Selectmen. If that compromise had come up at that meeting, I would have said no at that point. The whole idea in that email that you sent to us, Andy, was, Wayne, and I think you sent it to the board, all right, that from now on, all inspections will happen at the boat ramp. That was the email. And I said, okay, I feel pretty good about that, all right? And I felt pretty good about that going to the Board of Selectmen meeting. But that's not what happened. At that meeting, the compromise was inspections will happen at the gatehouse, all right? And then they can go down to the boat ramp. Well, that's not New Hampshire Lakes policy. There are 92 boat ramps in New Hampshire, and only one of them do not inspect the boats. Only one town does not inspect the boats at the boat ramp, and that's the town of Milton. Now, the idea that every boat is inspected at the gatehouse is not a true statement either, all right? I wish it was. I have been there, and other board members have been there, and other Lake Association members have been there when boats have come in and they weren't inspected. So last year, I was putting up my signs, all right, and I was about 50 feet away from the gatehouse, and 2 boats came in with several other cars behind them. They collected the money at the gatehouse, and they went right down to the boat ramp. There was no inspection. Now, do I think that happens often? No. Do I have any idea how often that happens? No. But all it takes, as we know, is one dirty boat that brings something in. So to go and say that every boat is inspected is not a true statement, all right? And I wish Karen was here so that she could, rebut that. But it's just not a true statement. And as I said, other board members have seen it, and other people have seen it. I don't understand where all this has just got blown out of proportion from day one. TPPA, we work our butts off. Jen went and said 1,500 hours. It's actually 1,532 hours that was spent volunteering last year, all right, and by 8 people. And the vast majority of it was done probably by about 3 or 4 people, all right? And what ends up happening is, to me, it's just a slap in the face. And obviously discouraging to go and think that a topic about inspecting boats to prevent invasive species in our ponds has gotten to this stage. It shouldn't have happened, all right? And, you know, there is enough discontent and there is such a difference between people that live in the ponds and the disconnect with people who don't live on the ponds that we surely don't need it with our leaders, the Board of Selectmen and our town administrator. But I gotta tell you, this year, we're not gonna have the lake host. Because New Hampshire Lakes went and said, not a good fit. You can apply next year. It's just like with, you know, when you apply for grants. The grants are getting less. I've said that, unfortunately, to the Capital Improvement Committee for like 10 years now. And I've lied to them every single freaking year. Because every year, they keep coming back and give us what I've requested. And part of that is because we have a unique weed. European naiad, brittle naiad, it's in about 9-10 ponds in New Hampshire or lakes. And people are scared to death of it because of the way it spreads. You know, people always ask, Wayne, is it the same as milfoil? The answer is no. Milfoil's a perennial, this is an annual, all right? And it produces seeds, and it's the seed bed that kind of kills us. So in the fall, meaning August, late summer, all right, when boats come out of the water, we want people to be able to wash down their boats. All right, so you've heard me say it before I put my kayaks away, I go and I pressure wash them before I put them on the rack. Otherwise, if I just go and put them back in, all right, in the spring, I'm reintroducing potentially those seeds all over again. Are they still viable in the spring? Yes. You heard me go and say it before, but I'm gonna say it one last time, all right? A grad student at UNH went and took the seeds, fed the plant to a duck. The duck pooped it out. They put it in a freezer for 6 months, thawed out the plant, the seeds, all right, put it in potting soil, and it grew great, all right? So these seeds may be viable for years. We've now used a new herbicide, Aqua Strike, much more expensive, all right, than the previous herbicide, which was called Diquat, all right? And what ends up happening is the preliminary results look good. We'll have a better idea this July whether it was worth all the money. We're hoping. Unfortunately, the only other place it's been used is Lake Arrowhead up in Limerick in Waterboro, Maine. So that's where we are. And, you know, we're reaching a frustration level. I know that Rich was too. He opened up that meeting on April 7th by saying, I hope that I can be civil about this topic. And I'm there, oh my God, all right? I mean, civil. Is this going to be a war between TPPA and the town? And I'm saying, I hope it's not, because you know what? I'm a volunteer. If you don't like what I'm doing or what we're doing, tell us. Then you can replace us.
All right. I appreciate you guys coming tonight. I'm sorry. You know, I'm a true supporter of TPPA. I think you guys do great work. And next year, let's rebuttal and let's try to figure this out as leaders and as TPPA volunteers, and let's see if we can come to some sort of agreement where this works for everybody.
I'd like to ask that we, at some point before the season, reformalize the agreement with the $1.50 a boat thing. See if there's some way we can work together to improve that.
Sure. And, no, and I understand some checks and balances, I get it. You know, it just, yeah. So again, thank you guys, and hopefully we'll be able to figure this out, okay? Thanks, Wayne.
Mr. Chairman, are you going to have the rec commissioner or the rec commission work with TPPA on that, or are you going to have the rec director work with TPPA on that?
I mean, it probably wouldn't, I mean, we are gonna have a meeting this Thursday. I don't know if it's feasible for you guys to, I can get you onto the agenda, or maybe on, you know, I'll get you there anyways, if you're able to make it. It's 6 o'clock. If you wanna come and we can talk. And if you can't, then this Thursday.
I'm not sure. I have to look.
Yeah.
Is that for the rec commission?
Yeah.
Okay. here?
I'll let you know, because we're talking about some playground stuff, so it might be down at the playground, yeah, so, all
And
right.
if you wanted to do the Lake Coast program in New Hampshire Lakes without TPPA next year, municipalities can apply for it, but they wouldn't be acting, they couldn't take money for the town, they could only do their Lake Coast job. They couldn't be your employees doing both. And then, you know, they still would need the match, which is pretty significant for what they get paid, so.
Okay, all right, thank you, and I appreciate it. All right, up next is department head reports. Public Works.
I've got other stuff on the
Okay,
agenda. Probably
we'll go library.
Grace Wing, Director at the Milton Free Public Library. We are currently operating within our budget, a little bit under budget. We typically run a little on the lean side at the beginning part of the year because we use more staffing hours during the summer for our summer reading program. So it might look like we're not using all our staff hours yet, but we will be through the summer. I just finished up the grant, kind of finalized all the financial aspects of that, and we have entered into a 10-year agreement with the Land Conservation Heritage Improvement Program through the state of New Hampshire. And sitting down with them, we came up with the Milton Free Public Library Capital Improvement Plan, which referred heavily to a conditions assessment report that was done by the town for the library in 2020 and completed in 2021. It was a very thorough analysis and evaluation of the building and the structure and all the work that might need to be done on the library. It is actually 150 years old this year, so we're excited that we're going to be celebrating the library's 150th birthday. And as we were going through this list, most of it is larger items that we will be applying for LCHIP grants, and we're very grateful to the town. We did get our warrant article for the $20,000 we requested, so that will eventually apply towards some of these larger projects that we would like to work on. One of the funny items that came up is that we have a water heater in the basement that is from the 80s. I went down there and it's like 81, which basically makes it slightly older than I am. And no sooner did I realize this than I turned on the hot water and noticed that it was blowing some solids. So I did talk to Billy about looking at replacing it. It is a 40-gallon water heater. We obviously don't need a 40-gallon. We'd like to replace it with something smaller, so we'll work on that. And then one of the other items that came up was that we had an presidential executive order. It was signed on March 14th, calling for the downsizing or elimination of the Institute of Museum and Library Services, which is the only federal agency that provides any funding for American libraries. I wanted to share how that impacts our library here in Milton. Those federal funds are distributed by the IMLS through the New Hampshire, they finance the New Hampshire statewide interlibrary loan system. In 2024, our library borrowed almost 500 items, which were transported by van here in the state of New Hampshire, and saved more than $2,000 in postal delivery charges. We have a very small library, so we depend very heavily on this interlibrary loan program to provide books for our community that are not accessible in our library. They're provided free of charge through the interlibrary loan. Those congressionally approved funds are distributed by the IMLS to the New Hampshire State Library, and also provide access for ebooks, audiobooks, e-magazines, and provide staffing for talking books for the blind and physically handicapped program. So without the IMLS funding, we are concerned that these services may be in jeopardy. We wanted to provide everybody with the books and resources for this community, and we are very concerned that these are currently at risk. So we would like to have everyone reach out to our elected officials to voice concerns, or if you'd like more information about what is currently occurring, please feel free to come by the library for more information. I did want to pass these out to you. This is just the capital improvement program. If you guys don't mind taking a look, it's just relevant. You don't have to look at it right now, but I just wanted you to have a copy of it.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, nice. Copies.
Thank you. That's good stuff. That'll help, during the process, so. All right, up next, the fire department. Thank you again.
How's the new job before you get rolling?
Good.
Yeah?
Yeah, no regrets.
Good.
It's all good. All right.
Congratulations.
Thank you, I appreciate it. As of April 21st, today, the department has responded to 273 calls for service. 186 of those are medically related. So slightly less than last year at this time, but more of them are medical calls. So that coincides with the trend that we've been seeing for a decade now. Middleton update, the direct billing for emergency response service is down substantially this year. So far, we've collected about $1,800. The March bill is going out shortly. There's only a couple runs that will be billable for that. They hired a new fire chief the first of the year who has implemented some changes, resulting in a better response for the town of Middleton. Revolving account, as of today, there's $345,000 approximately in the account. Year to date, we've collected about $58,000 in revenue, which puts us on pace for what we typically plan on, around $200,000. This balance also puts us in a position to pay the remaining balance of the new ambulance, which is tentatively scheduled for delivery sometime in the next couple months. The ambulance will be paid in full with cash, and we will not enter into a lease purchase agreement as authorized by the town meeting in 2023, so 2 years ago. This week, we did finally see pictures of the ambulance. So there's a box. It's not on a chassis. It's painted. It hasn't been wired.
They get going.
Yeah.
2 months.
That's why I said tentatively 2 months. It was supposed to be here in, February originally, and then it got pushed to May, and now we're 6 weeks away from the end of May, and with the box not on a chassis, so we'll see what happens. Engine 4. So Engine 4's been down at the highway barn since last fall. It's currently, the town's accepting sealed bids for it. It's a 1989 Hahn pumper. The town purchased it in 2003 from Oceanside, Long Island. So we ran it for 20 years. It's been a reserve piece for the last couple. The vehicle's age and condition no longer justifies the cost of the needed repairs to keep the vehicle in service. Sealed bids are due to the town administrator by noon on May 5th. I've had a couple inquiries, somebody from Pennsylvania that's a collector and somebody from Wolfboro that's a collector. So hopefully we get something.
Very good.
So let's talk about fire danger for a second. Since last week, the fire danger has been relatively high. Sunday, there was a red flag warning. So yesterday, luckily we didn't have anything significant in the area, but the spring green up is prime condition for brush fires, or prior to the spring green up, I should say. So far this year, we had one brush fire on Jug Hill Road behind Pat's old house. That was caused by burning improper material, unattended fire, that type of situation. Regionally, there's been several fires, including one in Lebanon on Friday that was caused by unauthorized burning, and it ended up causing the complete loss of a residence in Lebanon. And then there was a second fire that was caused by unauthorized burning right over the bridge in Lebanon at the same time on Friday. So despite the cloud cover, the ground conditions are still extremely dry. So there's currently no burning allowed in the town of Milton and several area towns as well. So far this year, we've responded to several fires where people are burning illegal materials, household trash or construction debris. So a reminder that you cannot burn that. You can only burn clean, untreated wood, i.e. branches, split firewood, that type of stuff. Burning without a permit and burning illegal material may result in a fine with a required court appearance, and we've done that, and Rich loves to do that. It can happen, so please get a permit and please do not burn trash. It causes all kinds of problems, including more work for him as health inspector, which is a case we're dealing with right now. So, and it's disgusting. And I don't want to be there breathing and put it out at 1 o'clock in the morning like I had to do last week. So, that's all I have, unless you guys have any questions. All right.
Thanks, Nick.
Thanks.
Thanks.
And Billy had to do it too. Partners in crime.
What did I do?
We put that fire out.
Oh, we talked about that, that was bad.
Hey, Bill, you're up next.
start with the department head report. First quarter of this year, we didn't have a lot of snow in December and January, but we had a lot of ice out, like call-outs for ice and stuff like that. And February, as we know, and March made up for what we didn't see in December or January. It put us a little more, used a little more overtime than we normally do due to the smaller events that we kept getting called out for. And a couple that were false flags that somebody basically prank called dispatch and said there was ice on the road. We responded and didn't find any. So that in itself mobilized and cost us a couple $1,000s in overtime the 2 times that happened. But we're still doing okay for the time being. We're not necessarily overspent on the budget yet or anything like that. I think we're about 30% spent for the year. But we also did a big salt order and some other things that so it's never an even keel. It's always spend a little more at certain times of the year. When we weren't plowing or anything like that, we were doing culvert inspections while we could, cold patching roads, servicing equipment, doing building maintenance, things like that. We did have a catastrophic failure of one of our older wing trucks, one of the 2015s or 16s, 2015 or 16. We're looking at options for repairing that. We were lucky enough to put a 2011 that we were planning to auction back into service. Wade did some magic with it, and that limped us through the winter. So we're looking at some different options for trucks going forward. So far this spring, been getting ready for road sweeping, still servicing equipment, getting ready for warm weather, patching, things like that. Looking at potentially buying what I feel is a reasonably priced piece of equipment that'll allow us to do a lot of our paving in-house on smaller roads and patches and things like that. That's about all I have. The only thing I would ask is residents be patient with the road crews that are working in front of their house. They're not out there trying to bother you or make noise, and they're usually not there for very long. So just have a little patience when we're doing some of the stuff we do. They appreciate it. They love their jobs. They're excited for the year. And that's about all I have as far as department head report.
When's the road limit weight restriction? Is that,
2,000 pound
has that
limit.
been lifted yet?
Yeah, it's been lifted.
Okay, thanks.
Sign, yeah, the signs, some of the signs still out though.
Yeah, we found out they missed a couple, so there were some.
Townhouse still has. Hey, that's okay, limit them, that's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, thanks.
But we were lucky we didn't have a bad frost season.
Yeah.
I'm still up, by the way.
Yes, you are. Keep going.
Unless you have other stuff you want to cover.
Do you have anything else, Matt, with this? No.
Not for the department, then we got the items here, that's fine.
Okay. So, first thing I want to go over is the 2015 International that went down. It was, by all accounts, what I would call a catastrophic failure of the truck. The 2 different prices that we've gotten for repair, one was a complete motor replacement for about $45,000, and one was an overhaul it and see how long it goes
For about
option for about 25. So, in my opinion, those aren't great options. My suggestion to the board would be that the truck that we were planning to auction, that we did some repair to, we throw another $4,000 or $5,000 into. The mechanic seems to think that he can do some welding and fixing on like the dump body itself, and we have tires off of a parts truck, so we can piece that together and hopefully get another winter or 2 out of it while we figure out other situations with trucks. And as far as the truck that had the catastrophic failure, we do have a spare motor. We don't know the condition of it. The plan was over the summer when Wade gets some extra time, he was going to do some exploratory stuff and see if there would be something worth, taking that motor out and putting it into the truck to clear up. But he did caution that there had been other repairs similar to what's being suggested in the past. But he's going to do a compression test on it and do some cameraing and see if it's something that's worthwhile. But
Yeah, the biggest thing on that, and you're right, Billy, because right now, obviously, we gotta wait anyways. We got nothing until after taxes and all that come in, but we definitely gotta come up. And for the people at home, this is one of the reasons why we were looking for the new trucks. It's nothing, I mean, we've been spending, you guys know that, we've been spending a ton of money just trying to keep these things on the road, because you were right, they were lemons. And,
We're doing what we can though. And like I said, we had a couple different vehicles. I always want to say apparatus, but a couple different vehicles that we were planning on sending to auction this year that I think what I would like to do is just hold on to them because one of them is a plow truck, it's a wing truck. And it is still running. Like I said, if with a little bit of work, it could be made reliable for at least another couple winters. It's not the ideal situation because it does have an expiration date that's coming up pretty quick, but I think that having that extra peace of mind, even if we do proceed with fixing the motor on the other truck, that would be the best option.
Bill, even if we take the motor out of the burnt truck and put it in this 2015, there's still gonna be a cost above what Wade can do because of the connectivity that still has to be done at the other shop, right?
No, that computer that we put in to purchase at the end of last year, the encumbrance, that allows Wade to do anything he needs to do as far as clearing codes and
So we won't have to send it away anymore?
No.
Okay.
He might have to buy some parts from the dealer, as you know, you do when you do any kind of motor swap, but it won't be anywhere near, like not even close to what the cost of the shop work would be.
Because I know the last time we talked, that was one of your fears, is that we might still have to send it out for
Yeah.
all of the issues.
Yeah, we did. So the biggest thing, the biggest unknown we had was the exhaust filtration systems. The dealer had cautioned that they might be clogged up from all the coolant and stuff blowing through the exhaust when the motor failed. But the burnt truck has brand new, or close to brand new filtration units on it. So, and with them out of the truck on either end of it's something Wade can clean himself because I don't think it's I know it's a laborious process, but it's nothing really technical per se, or something that requires like dealer specific tools or anything. So it's all stuff that could be done, but I mean the associated cost is the labor. So moving forward, when he has slow days and nobody needs him for much and he's sweeping the garage, he's just going to start plugging away at that a little bit at a time. And we'll see. Hopefully, we're shooting for maybe November. If the motor's good, if we pull it out and it checks out and he's confident with it, we're shooting for hopefully maybe by November to have the truck running again. So, like I said, a little bit of time between now and the end of the year. But I wanted to let you guys know that was kind of the plan with it because I didn't think anybody was really comfortable with putting $25,000 or $45,000 into a $10,000 truck. So.
the highway block grant, if needed, can be utilized for some of that too, so.
Yeah, I think
That'll be,
we'll be in pretty good shape. Wade's confident between the two trucks that we have that he's not going to have to buy a whole lot, as long as that motor is fine.
as long as it tests out, yeah.
Yeah. So we're in pretty good shape there, and I think we'll weather the storm with what we have. We just can't really afford to get rid of any of the trucks that we do have at the moment, just because everything's a backup for a backup right now. But that's kind of where we're at. Like I said, the dealer option is there. I just don't know how reliable. And even buying a brand new, it's the same manufacturer's defects in a brand new motor that have always been there that made the truck a lemon in the first place. Unfortunately. So.
True.
So that's where we're at with those.
Thank you.
Next thing I had was, you can read it if you want.
Flowers.
I can just keep
No,
going down
keep
the
going.
list if you'd like. Flowers for the cemetery for Memorial Day. We're just looking to get the approval from you as the Board of Cemetery Trustees to expend the funds.
I'll make the motion to take that from the cemetery funding.
And I think you guys have the letter. It's 1,700.
17, yeah.
Second.
74, 34. Yep, 17, 70.
So we figured we get that order in sooner than later.
Yep.
So we can start doing what we need to do.
He's looking at you, go ahead.
I was just gonna ask a quick question. Is the Memorial Day Parade in the Mills this year, or is it in downtown Milton? Does anybody know?
Should be in the mills, I believe.
Okay, thank you. That's
That still was.
It was downtown actually last year, wasn't it? We didn't even have it last year, did we?
It was done down.
It was
Actually, it was downtown.
The Veterans Park for Veterans Park last
Yeah,
year.
so it is.
Why it's gonna be
yeah.
at the mills this year.
I was
Thank
there, yeah, so it is in the mills, yep, thanks. All right, so, so there's a motion made on the flowers.
Seconded
Matt
it.
seconded it, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, okay.
1,700.
1774, 34.
1,774 and 34 cents.
Thank you.
Okay, up next, Billy.
Agenda item 6 can't really be discussed without agreeing on agenda item 7.
Okay, go to 7.
So 7 would be proposed changes to the pricing for the transfer station for things that aren't covered by a dump sticker. I attached, in your packets anyways, the current fee schedule and then a proposed fee schedule. The changes aren't drastic, but they do correct our problem in areas where we're losing money. So basically, it's costing the town more money to get rid of than what they're actually charging for certain items. I think the biggest thing, and I don't honestly feel like it affects your average citizen that's going to get rid of a mattress or a couch, would be a 5-cent increase in the scale fees. This would really only hit people that are coming in consistently with construction debris from their businesses and things like that, which really isn't the intended purpose of the transfer station anyways.
Well, the issue on it though is we can't vote on that without a public hearing.
Right. No, and understandably so, but this can.
Yeah, no, you did a good job on this. I just wanted to make sure everyone knows though, we have to hold a public hearing for any of the fee schedules.
And we do in the future when we upgrade this, or update this, if we do decide as a town to move forward with these fees, is to take the note off the website that fees are subject to change without notice. So,
Well, you are notifying them, so.
I am, but it still has to be agreed upon. But as you would read it on that, I could just change the
Yeah.
fees and not say anything, but we're gonna,
So we
obviously.
could, our next Board of Selectmen's meeting, we could have a public hearing.
So, I would like to schedule the public hearing for May 15th so we can do all of the fees for the town. That way we can get all of the fees and schedules done at one meeting, one public hearing. You'll have the public hearing on May 15th. That'll allow for all departments to get any fee changes or fee schedules that they have at their departments that need to be changed to the board, so the board can review them, and then we can have the public hearing, and the board can vote to officially accept or not accept them the first meeting in June.
Okay, Bill? Sound like a plan?
While we're here and still discussing it today, though, I think it would be a good idea where we haven't set anything in stone yet to also discuss, nobody wants to hear this, but the permit stickers, I don't even necessarily understand why they do them, because it covers, I think we make about roughly $10,000 a year off selling stickers. It costs us $1,600 to print the stickers, and it costs us almost $100,000 a year to get rid of the trash that the stickers cover. So, in my opinion, Wakefield charges like $25 for a sticker or $20. I think Ospey charges the same. I don't necessarily know that we should raise it that much, but basically I would anticipate our trash disposal getting into 6 figures in the next 3 years with all the increases. So it's something maybe not this year, but in the future we need to reassess what we're doing with dump stickers and things like that.
It could be part of that, it could be part of that same public hearing. It's still a fee, so.
But I know it's kind of
It's been there for a lot of years and everything's gone up, but that hasn't, so.
We used to charge $1 for them.
Yeah, I remember when they were $1. It is a bargain for getting rid of all your household stuff.
Yeah.
So that being said, the other agenda item 6 was for a scale that would go along with the fee So the initial purchase of the scale is gonna be about $2,000. But it will allow us to weigh small electronics, because when I was doing this research, I identified that one of the things that we're really losing money on, and it's costing us a lot to get rid of, is small electronics. As it sits right now, it costs $3 for anything, but it costs us 30 cents a pound to get rid of it. So, I mean, even something as small as an Apple computer with a built-in hard drive and everything like that, that you buy now, the nice looking ones, those are over 20 pounds. So someone pays $3 to get rid of that, it's costing us over 6. So there's things like that, and the fairest way I could think to do it was, any items up to 10 pounds, we'll keep it at the $3. So if somebody comes in with a computer mouse and a keyboard, it's $3, But anything over that, we should charge at least the 30 cents a pound that it costs us to get rid of it.
That makes sense.
So,
We're not there to make money, but we're there to be sustainable.
that's what we're trying to do, is
We're not.
sustain our garbage disposal so it doesn't get passed on to the taxpayer. And this is really, if you look at the fees that I'm proposing, it's not insane jumps in anything.
No.
It's just what I figured covers our cost.
This was discussed a few years ago, and we just didn't move forward with much of a change on it, so it's time.
And I can get you other things. I mean, if you want some example invoices and things like that, and another thing is like NRRA fees. It's a great resource to be a part of NRRA, but we also get tacked on facility fees and stuff like that due to our memberships. So sometimes you look and it's not as great of a deal as it looks like, on paper. Or actually, I'd rather say as it sounds. When you look at it on paper, it's not as good of a deal as they make it out to be in some cases. I mean, it is a benefit to us, though. But I can plan for the 15th, you said?
Yeah.
Get some more stuff together and talk about it some more then. Like I said, the scale. And unless we agree on the new fees, it doesn't really make sense to buy the scale. It's all a fee change either way.
Sorry, Bill, it's May 19th.
I was gonna say, the 15th would have been on the,
Is that Thursday?
Oh, okay. What's next?
I guess the first is.
Okay, so in trying to figure out how to stretch our road construction money a little better than we do now, I started looking at some used paving machines and things like that, and with the kind of money we'd be looking to spend, we're not gonna get anything reliable for paving equipment. I mean, even something that's run-of-the-mill is gonna cost more than we really wanna spend. So I started looking into other options and talking to some people that, have done paving in the past, and they suggested a paving drag box, basically. It's almost like a box grader for pavement. So I started looking into different companies, and I came across this company called DragTech. And what they're basically building is a non-motorized drag-it-behind-the-dump truck paving machine. So it's built in the same capacity with the same box, and drag mat is like something that's hydraulic and has its own motor, but this basically hooks onto the back of the dump truck. It feeds out of the back of the dump truck. It sets grade with manual cranks, so no hydraulics. And it's about a third of the price of a poorly maintained paving machine that we would buy used. So what I would like to do is get the board's permission to use, so the quote you have is $14,825. If we go pick it up ourselves, we save the freight money. It's a 4-hour drive to go pick it up.
So you're gonna knock the 1,800 off the ship?
Yes, you can knock the 1,800 off of that price, because I looked up where their address was, and I did some Google mapping, and I'm like, we can just go get that and save the town almost $2,000. But this allows us to pave small sections of road, or small roads in general. We wouldn't be looking to go out and pave Governor's Road ourselves, but low-traffic side roads and things like that, where we would pay almost as much sometimes in a mobilization fee as we would to actually have the paving work done. It would just allow us more flexibility to do it ourselves and, pave, another mile a year a road, hopefully.
My suggestion's gonna be with these guys, I hadn't even talked with them yet, but and went through the capital reserve fund. You get the highway special equipment fund? It's got 37,284 in there now. So 13,000 from that's not gonna impact, I mean, it's a fund we can draw from without having to hit anything else that we've got at this point. And I think it's gonna save us in the long run, rather than touch the highway block grant money, which we can use for other things if necessary this year to help offset costs.
Yeah.
But, I mean, I think it's a great, I know you and I talked a while back about having the ability to be able to do that as opposed to patching and then bringing,
Yeah,
could have done a much better job on a couple of the roads already, so.
What line,
It's the 1997 Highway Special Equipment Capital Reserve Fund.
I know, I mean, because I was looking at that myself, actually, because we were talking about, you know, maybe possible of a used backhoe. And I was actually looking at that line for maybe, I know you don't have that on tonight, so,
Yeah, I had been in talks with Milton Cat because they have, in the past, they have a rental program, and we actually used it last year when we rented the coal planer. In the past, they didn't sell anything from that. It just went to a dealer refurb and got put back out on the line. And now they're in a position where Caterpillar Corporation's actually letting them sell the equipment at a huge discount. So we had looked at 2019 with less than 2,000 hours on it. They had it priced at $58,000, and they were willing to take trade-in. So my thought was our roll-off that we were looking at potentially auctioning off or selling is, getting permission to use it as a trade-in on a backhoe, but they're not really receptive to what we'd like to see out of that truck. So it's kind of throwing darts at the wall for them right now, so I didn't really want to bring it yet. So.
and the reason why, we were talking about this is, because unfortunately, we only have one piece of equipment that can load salt trucks in the winter, and that's our loader.
Correct.
And if our loader goes down, we have no way to load trucks. We only have one piece of equipment that can load a truck. And this piece of equipment also would be, it'd be a great asset to cleaning ditches, because you can drive it down the road. You don't have to trailer it, you don't have to put it on a trailer, you don't have to, there's a lot of work on getting, a small excavator out to something. So, I mean, I know the state, I used to work for the state, that's all we had was backhoes. And so I think it would be a great asset. I mean, you keep working your numbers, doing your thing. Maybe we could revisit this on May 19th.
Yeah, no, I can look into that. I mean, my biggest concern is that, I guess if we really got put between a rock and a hard place, we could rent a loader.
Yeah, but I mean,
Which I don't want to do.
you can rent loaders, but they're very, very expensive to rent.
Absolutely. I just look at the funding we do have and what it's intended for, and I want to try and use road construction as much as I can to actually pave roads and things like that.
We also put in for the grant from the Shaheen's grant towards equipment that could do the ditch work and everything else too, if that go, we don't know where that, I mean, that wouldn't be this year,
Well,
but.
that piece of equipment ain't doing ditch work.
Well, it's a mowing. It would
It's
be
a mowing.
primarily rotating mowing. But,
It doesn't dig ditches.
It's not gonna dig the
I
ditch.
used to run them.
The cleanup,
I know what
of
they
it.
do. They
But
don't dig
no,
ditches.
a backhoe of some sort is definitely, I would call it a needed piece of equipment, sooner than later. I mean, our loader isn't getting any newer either. But like I said, I don't really have enough information or enough ideas about how we would fund something like that quite yet.
No,
Well, think about it.
we figure that we don't have to make a decision on this tonight, this is just that, right now, we know we've got that money. And, I mean, you also don't wanna
I
hit
mean,
the
if you
block
want,
grant without
if
it.
you want to move forward with the drag box, which I think is a great idea, I mean, I watched them, I watched how they're used, I think it would save the town a lot of money. If that's something that you're looking forward,
The drag box is something we definitely feel would be worthy of a small portion of, what's been granted to us for road reconstruction. I think productivity-wise, we would see a lot more work if we had a piece of equipment like at. That's something I would love to get and use this year. But, yeah, so that's more up to you guys. That's a larger purchase than I myself can. But if you guys want to discuss it later and table it until the next meeting, that's fine too.
No, not really,
Mr.
because,
Chair.
I'm sorry?
So I'm going to ask you to just table your decision on it until the 5th. We are signing the new CIPC document tonight.
We want to get it on there.
And one of the requirements for that with the charge of the CIPC is anything over $10,000 is supposed to go to them just to review. They don't have to approve it, they don't have to anything, but they at least have to review as to why and make sure it meets standards, and then give you guys a recommendation back. So I would just ask that you just wait until May 5th. Just so that way we can give it to them to review. I don't know that they're even gonna have their first meeting by May 5th.
Well, that's the thing.
It'll at least
It'll still get to the list, though.
get to the list and give the planner the ability to put it out there, and we can at least email it to the members of that CIPC committee. So we're at least
All right.
meeting that standard. It
I'll move
also,
it to the 5th, but I will not kick the can down the road. We'll make a decision on the 5th.
No, that's
Because
fine.
this is, we only have a short window to get summer work done. And so that would be my recommendation. We'll move it to the 5th, but if,
Yeah, like I said, I don't mind tabling it all. Like I said, it's something if I was gonna push for anything in the near future, it would be that, but I don't expect a decision tonight. And I think it's fair to let the CIP committee review that.
so the other part of it is, I'd like the board to come to a decision as to, on the 5th, what line they want to spend it out of.
Yep.
I know, I've heard from you, Mr. Chairman, you don't necessarily want it to come out of that line. Mr. Williams, you want it to come out of that line. So it would be good if we could figure out exactly where we want this to come out of. So if we're going to try to look for another piece of equipment to take it out of that line, then we need to figure out where we're going to take this $13,000 out of.
Sure.
If we're going to take the $13,000 out of that line, then we worry about the other piece of equipment coming out of some other line, but I'd like to have that decision made before we're even looking down the road. for
Right,
other
yeah.
pieces of equipment. So that'll give us till the 5th to make that determination.
That's a good plan, so I'm on board with that. And like I said, I'll keep looking at options we do need a secondary loader, but I don't wanna jump the gun on anything either and, put us in a bad spot by pulling money from, place that we maybe shouldn't have.
all right. Thank you, Bill. Anything else?
I believe that's all you guys got me for tonight.
That's all we have you for.
Thanks, Bill.
All right, up next, final review, capital, signature for a capital improvement program committee, charge and composition document.
So the board has the charge and composition document with all of the changes that we talked about at the April 7th meeting. If the board does not have any other changes that they want put into the charge and composition document, then I would just ask for a motion from the board to approve it and for the chairman to sign.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
So with the new charge document, there is a new schedule that we have attached to the charge document that will go with it for each year, both for CIPC and for the department heads to see, so the town has a process to move forward with each year. Obviously, the dates of the schedule are not set in stone. For this year, they're gonna be a little bit behind, but next year, the expectation is we're gonna try to get those as close to schedule as possible. So that way we can have this process done by the end of September.
Okay. Sounds good. Okay, we all set there?
Yep.
Okay, up next, discussion and possibility actions requested by the town clerk, tax collector office to accept credit cards, debit cards, or such other means of electronic transitions for tax payments.
Skipped one.
10 and
I did?
11, yeah.
Oh, my bad, I'm sorry.
Seats.
I was trying to move this along here. Appointment, capital improvement program committee open seats.
So we received two letters. We received a letter from Laura Turgeon, and we received a letter from Sean Skillings for the two at-large seats. We only have two at-large seats.
Perfect.
So if the board would like to read both of them in, they can. Otherwise, the board has the letters.
No, I'm good. Do you want to make a motion?
Yeah, I will make a motion to, for both Laura Turgeon and Sean Skillings to be the at-large members.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. I will contact them to come see the town clerk to be sworn in as our at-large members. We still are looking for two alternate members for CIPC.
Okay.
Nick's looking hard. Nope.
I was gonna say, there's gotta be somebody here, like good friend Neil.
You didn't look hard enough yet, Nick.
All right, well, think about it, Neil. I think you'd be a good asset for that. Anyways, up to 11, appointment alternate for Milton Conservation Commission, open alternate seat.
We only received one letter of interest for the alternate seat, Sharon. Sharon is currently an alternate, and her term expired, and she's the only one who put a letter in again for the alternate again.
I will make a motion to give Sharon the alternate position on the MCC.
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you. Okay, I've been raring to get to this decision on taking credit cards and debit cards for taxes.
And he's not here.
He's not here.
He doesn't need to be here for this.
Have a good night, guys. Thank you so much.
The board voted for this years ago, when you put it on the town's website. I guess the big thing that did not happen was the board either didn't vote in a public setting where it was in minutes section, and signed off so we could send it to DRA. So we need a document signed by the board after a vote from the board accepting exactly what's said on here for the acceptance of credit cards, debit cards, or such other means of electronic transaction for tax payments. That needs to be part of the motion, and once that is, this needs to be signed by the three of you, and we will send it to we'll save it into our DRA file to show that it's there.
I will read this off. So I will make a motion to allow the town clerk tax collector's office to accept credit cards, debit cards, and other means of electronic transactions for tax payments in the office.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. We already got it online.
Right, it's already online, it just needs to be updated.
Sir?
Did you catch all that, Amy?
Just about.
Just about?
I'll give you.
I got it. I'll give it to her.
Anything there, ask.
Okay, up next, event permits.
We do not have any.
Don't have any, okay. Old business?
The only part of old business that has an update right now is the Comcast franchise agreement. The first read public hearing for that will be May 19th as well.
Okay. You got a plan on May 19th?
Yes, I do.
Good.
Actually, before we roll past that, did we hear anything about the boat ramp paving in the dock?
No, we are waiting to hear some updates on those.
Okay, I just want to make sure, because, thank you.
I think you're meeting with them next week
Hopefully this week.
or this week.
Yeah, okay, I knew it was coming up, so.
Trying to nail down a day with them, but hopefully this week.
Good.
Any other old business, anything in here that we need to talk about?
No, I'm all set.
No, I don't have any other updates, unfortunately, on any of the other items. The work for the AUR is moving forward. They're doing their stuff in the background. Once the survey's done, then we can finish the AUR. The other items are unfortunately kind of with other places, and we will be, the building and property study that was done for the Emma Ramsey building, the town hall, or the townhouse building, and then the beach, that will hopefully be processing forward, I'm guessing the first meeting in June. I don't expect to see it in the May meeting.
Okay, all right. I know, I was hoping to hear something back by now on that. It's been a little
So
bit.
we did have a preliminary meeting with them, and we give them some input back, but we haven't heard anything else yet from them, so.
All right. Other business, any other business maybe come for the board?
We do. One more thing. So, and it's short, in the spirit of getting permission to open in any new agreements with vendors, I'd like to go with Hartford Lawn Solutions this year for any of our, like, fertilization or weed control. They're giving us a lot better deal with urban than the urban save-a-tree contract that we had before. Their services as stated, but they're a smaller company. They have a great customer service reputation, and they're the only company so far that's actually came out and looked at our buildings personally with me and not done like a GPS overlay to try and get square footage on our lawn. So I had talked to him and two other vendors, and he was the only one that actually came out and took the time to drive around with me. So,
Can you give me that number, Bill?
I can, yeah.
You don't have it right now, I'll meet up with
Yeah,
you.
I don't have it right now, but, yeah, I can get that for you, but I just, wanted to get permission, before we entered into any kind of agreements to do services.
If it's better service and it's not costing us more money, it makes sense.
Before a motion's made, do you want to talk about this one that you and I had talked about the other day? This property,
With regard
to that contract.
well, in talking to you and with Rich,
Did we decide that we're gonna have this one done or no?
well, the thought was, to not do it this year, just because we're not doing anything really effective here right now, because a lot of these things need to be watered in, and you can't depend on rain. So there's situations where some of the stuff might go inert because it's water activated, and there's limits, you know, and so a lot of these fertilization programs depend on like good watering, and this building doesn't have that. We paid a pretty decent amount last year to have stuff done here that didn't make any kind of a difference. Whether or not enough product got put down, I don't know, because the company we were using told me that we had no irrigation anywhere in town, where this is actually the only building treated that doesn't have it. So they told me that's why the grass didn't look as good as it should have at other places. So what I would like to do is the money that's been allotted, that was allotted for this building, I would like to use to work on things like the ball field this year, and the fire department could use a decent overseed, and probably another treatment, because that's a prime example of all the right ingredients are there to make that lawn look great, and for whatever reason, the fertilizing and the weed control and stuff hasn't been working there. So, and in the future, I mean, we were looking at other options on, you know, how to make this look better. I think
Be landscaped without grass, I mean, it's.
or well, I mean, there's like, I mean, we could do things to make the grass greener, but as far as the best thing we can probably do this year is some, you know, a decent cleanup of the beds and things like that, and some fresh mulch.
I was just gonna say mulch it, yeah.
And then look at options. I'd like to start looking at maybe some drought-resistant seed or options for grass that maybe it's not a golf course, but it looks nicer and holds.
Got some cheap AstroTurf.
Do that too. Although I think that would be more expensive than a regular lawn.
That's why I said it'd have to be very cheap AstroTurf. Yeah.
But I know there's grass options out there that are very drought resistant, and if we could just get something going and work on what we already have, I think that would be our best option.
Have you considered switching to ground cover plants instead of grass in places?
Yeah, we'd actually tossed the idea around of doing something like that.
Doesn't have to be grass.
With what we have and what, a lot of this out front is ditch, and you're never gonna get a ditch to look that great, and just because of the byproduct was running off the road. So there's not a whole lot of areas that would benefit from green grass, other than maybe the immediate front of the building and things like that. And then ground cover obviously has a labor associated with that, and getting that in and established. And
Well, we're looking at doing things like planting, even in our house, we're looking at putting in creeping, what they call creeping thyme.
Yeah.
Which has a maximum growth height about that high, and it flowers about half the year, and it smells good. Doesn't use as much water as grass, and it,
Yeah.
so, it reseeds itself every year, so. I mean, if you're talking about, a lot of places in Texas that was going to xeriscape, stuff like trying to use less water, went overground and
Run all this back.
because grass is just.
No, I'm just saying, nobody can hear it.
Yeah,
You should come up if it's
absolutely.
dark.
And I guess one of my reasons for leaning more towards trying to further establish the lawn that's already here is that, like, even if we change like the planting and go with like a ground cover, it still takes some sort of irrigation to establish it. So I was, I don't necessarily want to put an irrigation system in.
Oh, makes sense.
But it's like a double-edged sword, I guess. Like to get to that low maintenance point, it's a lot of maintenance. That is the unfortunate part about it.
Oh, makes sense.
All right, thank you. Anything else, Billy?
To answer your question?
Yeah.
Okay.
So what's the name of the company again?
It's Hartford Lawn Solutions.
I will make a motion for you to go with Hartford Lawn Solutions as opposed to Urban, what was it? Yeah, Save a Tree.
Used to just be Urban Tree.
Yeah, Save a Tree.
Second.
All in favor?
Right.
Thank you, Billy. Okay, up next, approval of minutes.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes of April 7th.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Okay, up next, public comments pertaining to topics previously discussed. Go for it, Larry. I've been biting into.
One that comes to mind on grass is, I believe it was the Fourth Crusade, Baron Simon de Montfort. The Crusaders came and destroyed the cities on their way to Jerusalem, killed all the inhabitants on the theory that God knows his own and will receive them in paradise. The plants that are left are the ones that live. Also, for the wonderful to hear the
It's the origin of kill them all, let God sort them out.
yes, that God will knows his own, which is the hearing the discussion for DPW was just such a pleasure on some of the best definition of pragmatic. Over the years, Wade and I have had conversations about how things are going for repairs, and just that careful, balanced assessment of what is available to do, what you need to do. Really a pleasure to hear. More difficult topics. No entry authorized, staff only beyond this point. I have not seen down at the beach notice All uses of the town beach and its services are by state statute and town ordinance only. That might solve some of the problems of who's doing what when. Presentation by the library pointed out the absolute destruction of the social structure of this country by Trump. He is a liar, proven. He is a predator, proven. And he is committed to the destruction of those services which eventually will affect this town. For example, AmeriCorps will be zero funded. Head Start will be zero funded. And what was mentioned by the librarian, right now, services in Braille are at risk. The interlibrary loan program of the Library of Congress is at risk. And if you go up to either Wisconsin or Michigan, $775,000 in diabetes research for adolescents has been defunded. It is a tragedy, and I want to be on record that that man needs to be defeated.
Thank you, Larry. Okay. Any other public comments pertaining to the topics that we discussed tonight? Everything, Neil? You're thinking?
I'm good.
Okay, bud. Anybody else? Nothing. Okay. Expenditure report.
So I spoke to the department heads for the lines that were a little bit out of line where we expected them to be. They are keeping an eye on them, and they are aware of them, and we will keep an eye on them moving forward. The expenditures are not necessarily our problem, as we spoke about last time.
Unfortunately.
It's a revenue issue.
Okay. Do you know if, like, Brian sent out letters, do you know if those were effective?
I think they were effective for some. I know he got some people that came in and called them nasty gram letters, but did come in, and they were effective for some people.
Okay.
I don't know how effective they've been, but I know they were effective for a few people.
Okay. And so when are we gonna talk, are we gonna talk about on May 5th, some of the properties that we have? Or do you
So
have?
yes, May 5th, we'll talk about the different town-owned properties that the town has,
Okay.
so that the board can make a decision as to what the board wants to do with those.
Okay.
Some of them will unfortunately have to work through the eviction process on, because they were tax deeded many years ago. And the process was not completed, I guess we'll call it. So those will take an extended time. Other ones are just open lots that the town will have to make a decision on. I know there's a lot on Route 75 that someone contacted me about wanting to try and purchase that lot. So that'll be something the town will have to make a decision as to, is that one of the lots you want to put up for auction?
Okay. All right. Well, hey, it's a step in the right direction. All right. Anything else on the expenditure report?
No.
Town administrator?
Your next meeting will be May 5th. The police department will be doing, I found out about this after the agenda was posted. They will be doing and participating in the Drug Take Back Day again this year. It is April 26th at the police department from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. So prescription drugs, you can take them to the police department, There'll be an officer sitting in the garage. You can just drop them in the box, and they'll be disposed of by the DEA. No needles, no liquids, and just take them in and drop them off, and they'll be disposed of properly. The Recreation Committee for warrant Article 21, we've received 4 letters. I know you guys wanted 5 members. We've received 4. So I don't know if the committee wants to, if the Rec Commission wants to continue to look for the 5th person, or if they want to get the committee members, or approve the committee members of the letters we've received, and then move forward trying to find the 5th person.
If you don't mind, do you have the names?
Yep.
Just so, because I have somebody that's interested in it. I don't know if they got a hold of you.
Yep.
They
So
asked me
I
for
received a
email.
letter from Larry Brown, has interest on being on that committee. Wayne Sylvester has interest of being on that committee. Laura Turgeon has interest in being on the committee, and Mark Courier has interest in being on the committee.
This is the capital improvements?
No, this is for the town beach, to see if it's feasible to, what to do with, how to pay for it.
Oh. I guess I get to submit a letter for that as well.
Okay.
I'll talk to you later this week about what I need to submit
All right, yeah, right here. This is the guy.
and what it needs to say.
All right, so that'll be our fifth one, for Neil. Appreciate it, Neil.
Never again.
All right,
Out of the way.
Selectmen's comments?
Yeah, I'm good. I got nothing.
Actually, no, we've talked about everything tonight, so.
Okay, good. All right, that's good. I just have like school vacations next week for Newt in the elementary, and so you might see some kids out there playing. Just be careful. And shoot, I have one last thing. Oh well, that's it. I appreciate it.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor? Aye.